Welcome to Audible Interlude, a G.I. Joe podcast. I am your host, Dave West, codename Phantom Troublemaker.
And I am your co-host, Noel Wood, codename Crapshoot.
And I'm your Cobra intern that's converging on your heart, codename Legion Cub.
And today, because it is Cobra Convergence 7, we have a very special guest joining us for the entire episode. Welcome back to the show.
Hello, I am Hooded Cobra Commander 788. I have a beard and wear glasses, so they decided to let me in the club.
You finally figured it out.
we do have a bit of a theme going on there, don't we? Okay, let me get my stuff organized here before we dive into things. I was going to try something a little different tonight, but I'll tell everybody this right now. First of all, welcome to the chat, everybody. Kevin Riddle, Ashley Wilbanks, Toy Reclaimer, Matthew Comstock, Mandalorian Jedi, who has the longest sound off in the history of recorded history that we'll get to later in the show. If you don't know, Sound Off is a segment we do. If you're following Audible Interlude Podcast on Instagram, and you should be, you can contribute to these episodes by responding to our Sound Off posts and giving us topics to talk about. And Mandalorian Jedi, I had to figure out a new way to screenshot just to get the entire inquiry on there. But we've got it, and we're going to be doing that later on.
I think people
Ritz Murphy, what is up, Ritz Murphy?
I think people are going to be writing a thesis paper on what Mandalorian Jedi wrote.
I think so. I think it's going to be a topic of conversation in G.I. Joe circles for decades to come, much like our rank and file card segment that will keep us sustained for basically far long past our expiration dates.
What citation format are we supposed to be using? Is that going to be
APA 7?
Arabian, Chicago style?
Yes, all of that. All of that, yes. Okay, so what else we got? You can follow us on Twitter at G.I. Joe Audible, but Audible Interlude Podcast on Instagram is the one that it's easiest to interact with. Send us messages. What do you want to talk about? What do you want to hear about? What's happening in the news? We'll get kind of heads up on things in our messages from time to time. We really appreciate that. And you are on the Needless Things YouTube channel. Lots and lots of different toy reviews happening here all the time. Today, I reviewed the classified scrap iron, and that's going up later this week. Last week, I reviewed all of the new classified. There he is. Yours does not have a hole in the front. Noel, hold that up again. So mine had a hole right in the G.I. Joe stripes.
There's a bump right here.
Yes.
So I can see how it would be compromised.
And I noticed on Twitter, a couple other people have posted pictures of punctured packaging. So be wary of that. But there was nothing wrong with the toy. The toy was completely
we all just think
undamaged.
of the poor packaging.
The poor punctured packaging. My goodness. But yeah, so like, subscribe, share, do all the things you do when you enjoy a YouTube channel. We have shirts available. Check out the links on that Instagram. And if you were here before the show started, the trailer for our Visit Beautiful BRAAAA Beach shirt, designed by Slickalicious, the incredible. Go check that out. It is available on our TeePublic store. Links are in the Audible Interlude Podcast Instagram account. And also check out Shop Slickalicious while you're on Instagram. Incredibly talented artist. That is a delight to work with. Schedule-wise, the audio version of this episode will be available this coming Friday, wherever you get your podcasts. Our next audio episode will be available the Friday after that, and we are currently wrapping up our reviews of Revenge of Cobra, the G.I. Joe miniseries. The final episode will be reviewed on our next audio episode.
Unless we decide to go back and review episode 1, which we never reviewed.
I mean, should we? Let us know. What do you think?
I think we should do that on the 1-year anniversary of starting reviewing this.
Yes, absolutely. Which I think is tomorrow. It certainly feels like it's tomorrow. Our next live stream is actually going to be tomorrow night at 11 p.m. We're going to count down the final hour of the Dragonfly HasLab. We've got a couple of different topics to hit on. We're going to do a Wild Bill America's Elite, where we take a look at all the different versions of Wild Bill over the years. We got a couple other fun things that we're going to do for that hour until the HasLab concludes. And speaking of which, does anybody have it pulled up right now? Let's take a look and see where our Dragonfly HasLab is sitting. It is at 18,333 backers. I think there's a really good chance we unlock Night Force Crazy Legs before in the morning.
Well, it was at 17.5 this morning, so it's. I think it's going to hit it by the end of the day today.
That is,
or possibly tomorrow morning.
That is awesome. We'll discuss Night Force Crazy Legs in a little more detail tomorrow night, because we'll be wrapping everything up. But just to go around real quick, since we've got Brian here, actually, Brian. When we got the Night Force Crazy Legs reveal, what was your reaction to that?
Oh, I thought it fits with what they're going for. Glenda was a little bit of a curveball, just because, I mean, you got a paratrooper and now you have another paratrooper, but Glenda makes a lot of sense. Glenda can be the gunner or the co-pilot, it's just like a really cool nod to a rare figure that, like, a lot of G.I. Joe fans and collectors who've been doing it for a long time will recognize. I like that kind of thing. I like that little nod to the longer term fandom. That's really cool. But as far as I felt like it was back with kind of the theme that they started. What this means, and what I immediately thought, is that you should get a standard deco Crazy Legs at retail at some point.
Of course.
This will pay for the tooling for that, so they can start cranking out some other color schemes. Personally, I was always a fan of the vintage Night Force Crazy Legs. I think that's one of the best recolorings of a figure in the vintage line. It looks so nice. So I'm kind of thrilled to get it, because I think I would like it more than the standard deco Crazy Legs. And this is, it's a nice surprise. Early on, I think a lot of us were thinking, well, Airborne has got to be a part of it, but no, Airborne is going to be part of the regular line. As Airborne is going to be a regular retail release, and that makes, again, more sense. That's something that I should have thought of beforehand. Airborne, I think, is far too mainstream a character to do like the main, version 1 inspired classified version of the figure in something like a HasLab project. That does need to be a standard retail release. More people want to get it. I was happy with it. Honestly, I think I'm happy with the Dragonfly. The figures are a nice bonus, but this is a project that I didn't need a whole lot of motivation to want to back it. What I needed was to resolve myself that I don't have the space, so it's just gonna crowd out something.
You've got a ceiling.
I do have a ceiling. Now I've talked about
your kids to live with grandma.
Yeah, the issue is the cat. So, like, I have to, if I'm going to put it on the ceiling, it has to be far. See, it can't be too close to any of these. It can't be too close to that, because if he can jump to reach it, he will.
Oh my gosh.
So it's he's basically, what I'm saying is, would you like a cat?
And if he did jump at it, that would be a catastrophe. That's an excellent spot to say thank you to Matthew Comstock in the super chat. All hail mighty Cobra.
Super chat.
And I just want to say that starting right now, every super chat we get is going towards funding for StreamYard, because after hanging out with Brian and after hanging out with Toy Connections, which everybody check out the Toy Connections YouTube channel, I have learned the magic of StreamYard, and we must have it, and we must have it soon. So everything we get in the super chat from here until StreamYard is paid is going towards that, because we need that. It looks fancy and nice, and the interface looks incredible. Noel and Kristian, what about you guys? How did Night Force Crazy Legs strike you?
I mean, it was not what I was expecting. I was a little underwhelmed. I kind of thought we would get a WC Colbert figure finally, kind of like we finally got with our Dragonfly. I mean, with our Sky Striker, that figure that had been, a mystery for all these years. But no, it's a good looking figure. I honestly don't know if this is something that they had planned the whole time, because we didn't really even get a render. We just got like a drawing of it, like an artistic
right
version in this case. So they may have kind of last minute pivoted on this one, and whatever they were planning as the third one may have been airborne for all we know, since they announced it for the regular line anyway.
Yeah, I do believe that this was a pivot. I have no idea. I mean, we can guess. Oh well, it funded. It got to this level. We're satisfied with that, so we're putting in this level of enticement. You know what I mean? Like, they may have had some kind of special, super fantastic hawk ready to go, but they didn't feel that this campaign needed that, so they were like, "All right, let's throw that Night Force Crazy Legs in there instead," because at this point, we're happy with how it's done. Which I like it. I have no attachment to Night Force whatsoever. It was far past my time of collecting G.I. Joe. But I am a huge fan, and I know a lot of people don't agree with this. I love when Hasbro is smart about developing tooling. Put it behind a HasLab, make it a retailer exclusive, find another way to fund that new tooling, and then later on give us the version that everybody's familiar with, or is the primary colorway, or whatever you want to call it. I think it's really smart, and you pick up more sales along the way, because there are people out there who don't care about Tiger Force Bazooka, but who will buy Tiger Force Bazooka because he's there until regular Bazooka comes out. Like, you're just going to sell figures to people who are like that. I'm probably buying everything either way, but you've definitely got people who are on the fence about that kind of stuff. I think it's a really smart business practice, because we want this line to last 150, 200, 250 figures, and this is the way to do it. Kristian, what about you? How did Crazy Legs sit with you?
So I wouldn't say underwhelmed. I'm sort of meh. I am surprised we're getting 2 Night Force figures as opposed to like a Tiger Force variant, since there was a Tiger Force variant of the Dragonfly.
Craig Dukas in the super chat. Thank you, Craig
Super
Dukas.
chat.
Everybody check out Shops Lickalicious.
But like Noel, I was actually hoping that they were going to surprise the heck out of everybody, because, we'd heard all these rumblings of what people wanted that third figure to be. And I was actually crossing my fingers for them to give us a classified ketchup or mustard that we didn't get with the Sky Striker.
But you couldn't have just one. That would have been weird, right?
Nah.
No?
No.
I think if you're going to do that, then it needs to be classified relish. Because ketchup and mustard have already been established as a pairing. Yep. So you got to throw another condiment on there. I don't want classified mayonnaise. That's no good. No. Nobody wants that. Classified hot sauce, maybe.
Oh, there you go. Colonel Hot Sauce.
Colonel Hot Sauce. I think we're going to work Colonel Hot Sauce into our Force Brigade line.
Right? There you go, Mandalorian Jedi. Get started.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So, Dragonfly Countdown live tomorrow night right here on the Needless Things YouTube channel. We are also with a lot of live streaming lately, because we're going to be live streaming a San Diego Comic-Con recap. Whatever happens at San Diego Comic-Con next weekend, we'll be talking about next Sunday, the 23rd, probably at an earlier time than normal. We'll see. We've still got to coordinate that, but if we can do it earlier, I'd like to. Work schedules are fun, everybody. And then our next regular old live stream is July 31st. All right, we should probably get down to the news now. Are you guys ready to talk some news? And for anybody wondering, Yes, this is part of Cobra Convergence 7, and we do have very special Cobra Convergence material for as soon as we're done with the news. We've got some fun stuff for you guys. But first, we got to talk about congratulations to the guy with the greatest name in the world, Carson Metaxas, because collecting the art of G.I. Joe is now officially licensed by Hasbro.
That's
That
amazing.
is,
Congratulations.
it's phenomenal. It's well deserved. It's almost like it's awesome, but it's almost not even surprising because if you've been following the progress of this incredible tome, you know the quality that's been put, the effort that's been put into the quality, how great it looks, how thorough it is. Hasbro would have been insane, which granted we do know that happens from time to time. Nuts not to make this a licensed product. So congratulations to Carson and the whole crew over there, because that's a heck of an accomplishment. All right. Oh no, I've got a screen share, which you guys know I love doing oh so much. Let's see. Oh, maybe not, because I guess I didn't get my Chuckles pictures. Way to go.
Oh,
Well, we've all seen it.
He's that undercover.
Yes, he's so undercover. I couldn't get pictures of him. He's like John Cena. I couldn't see him.
just wait till they announce a classified Xandar. You're not going to be able to show him either.
Yeah, well, nobody will care about it. That's not an editorial statement. That is part of his file card. It's his personality. Nobody notices. We want a classified Xandar. Okay, so Kristian, why don't you talk about this Chuckles just a little bit?
Oh my gosh. Well, let me pull it up then. As before I get started, did they say, is this strictly San Diego Comic-Con?
Well, okay, so the verbiage is that people who want it, attendees at San Diego Comic-Con will receive a QR code with a one-time use that they can order Chuckles from. I can't share that. Order Chuckles from Hasbro Pulse. Now, this verbiage is a little bit different from last year, because we all know what happened last year is they gave out the QR codes and then it got shared online and everybody was able to order Dr. Mindbender. Was it Mindbender or Serpentor?
It was Mindbender.
Mindbender. Everybody was able to order Mindbender, no big deal. It was fine. Everybody loved it. Everybody had a great time. This time they are specifying single-use QR code. So I don't know if they're literally giving out a QR code that you can only use one time, if they're trying to head off what happened last year. I don't know. I don't know what the point would be of heading off what happened last year, because it seemed to work mostly well.
Yeah, and surely they know, like with each San Diego exclusive, they've made, more than the last one. So surely they're producing Chuckles in an amount that's at least twice or three times the amount of Mindbenders when you look at how many times they've gone back to offer Mindbender.
Right. Well, and even if they are just doing a single-use QR code, it's going to go up on Pulse at some point after San Diego Comic-Con. That's been their MO for years now with these things.
Yeah, I just haven't seen anything announcing that aspect, so knowing it will, but I'd like them to hurry up and let us know when that will be. So Chuckles is in his G1 look. I feel like they did a good job with the flower shirt. I am a little surprised that it's tucked into his pants, because we've already had figures like where we've seen how they can do the shirt.
Yeah, but does it look good?
I mean, I think it needs to be, because he's got the belt with the pouches and everything. So I think it looks better tucked in. And that's the way the original figure was.
I'm just not a tuck your shirt in kind of guy.
I think if they had done it, like, because I've seen like customs where they left the shirt open and he's wearing like a white t-shirt underneath it, and then he's got the shirt hanging off. I think that would have been another way to do it. But they decided to go with what the original looked like, and I'm fine with it.
I love the head sculpt. He looks really young. And he comes with a second head, where he's all beat up and missing a
love,
tooth.
I love
it.
that head.
I love this. Like, as much as I like the sculpt of just regular him, I love that alternate head so much. He's got this smile on his face. Like, it to me, it is Chuckles from the IDW miniseries. Like, just beat the crap out of me and it's okay. And when we say he comes with a lot of accessories, he comes with a lot of accessories. We've got sunglasses, a headset, guns, alternate fists, and it looks like he's got brass knuckles with those, a briefcase, binoculars, two different, well, a set of handcuffs and then a set of broken handcuffs.
Yeah, which I love.
Yeah. And he only uses them to catch criminals. He's got a file folder, he's got a lay, and then I think what is one of the coolest nods to something we talked about last episode, last live stream, maybe, about Transformers in G.I. Joe.
Yes.
He comes with a mini sound blaster, which is the Midnight Black version of Soundwave. Like, when you look at the sculpt they did of this this cassette radio, it is the Soundwave mold, just done in black. And that isn't, to me, a nice Easter egg.
Mm-hmm.
His packaging is like a little, I'm imagining like, battery powered closed circuit kind of antenna TV so that he can report back to
it looks like something
so,
out of BioShock almost, but it's
yeah.
I mean, it's really
it's got
cool.
like a speaker. It's got all these drawings of knobs on it, and then the TV screen, and then I like the picture-in-picture,
Yes.
which we all knew that the Crimson versions of these characters were coming, but you've got Tomax and Zaymont and Baroness in there, and yeah, this to me is worth, what was it, 41.99.
Hang on real quick, I gotta say, Rachel, hey, glad you're here tonight. Rachel Selena said he's not beat up, he's having a reaction to shellfish.
Oh, okay, now I need a classified size EpiPen.
My favorite part, I think, of all the packaging is the comic that they did, where he's you see him, like, it's like he's cracking a safe, and then he's like running away from some Cobra troopers, and then he's like jumping out of the window of this coconut palm and into the getaway car.
Well, it's very Hawkeye. If anybody read the Matt Fraction Hawkeye, like, the first thing the time I saw it, that's what I thought of. But I do love that it's this was it fifth panel, I think is what that packaging is called. It's the same thing as what NECA does. It looks fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I thought when we were speculating about this release before, I thought that I would not like it if it had the shirt tucked in, which again is like the original figure. But having seen some other figures with untucked shirts like this, you just can't quite get it right.
Yeah, it just doesn't drape the right way, or if you
or you've got
a certain pose,
big holes in the sleeves where it just doesn't look right. The only real answer would have been to put his torso in an undershirt and do a soft goods shirt, which I know everyone would have just revolted at that. So I get it. I think they made the best choice they could.
I mean, it doesn't look bad. I was just a little surprised. That's all.
Brian, where's your enthusiasm level for old Chuckles here?
Well, I like it. I like that we're getting Chuckles. I'm the Hawaiian shirt that they did is, inspired by version 1. They didn't really they added a little bit of detail to like the flowers and stuff, but they didn't really add too much. What I find ironic about Chuckles is I look at this guy and like you can take away the pistol holster, you can take away the knife thing on the leg, but if you saw that guy, rolling through an airport carrying that briefcase, you'd be like, yeah, that's the spy.
Yeah.
We found the espionage guy. I think it's fine. I don't know. I guess I think it's fine. I don't know if I will. I don't know if I'll get it. I was never as much of a Chuckles fan as other people, but I mean, it's a good figure. It's a good figure. I'm curious, as you mentioned, how they're going to do the pre-order with whatever they're going to do with the QR codes. I don't know. I'll just have to see. And I hate to like not take a strong position on it, but it certainly is Chuckles. They gave him plenty of gear. I think it looks great. I just don't have as much attachment to Chuckles as a lot of other folks do. So I'm a little on the fence about it.
And that's fair. I mean, look, a lot of people were over the moon about that red ninja and the blue ninjas, and to me, I don't even understand those figures. They don't even look like anything G.I. Joe related to me. So we all have our different levels of where things hit us, So it's if something is, that's fine, then that's how it is, I mean,
I think that the majority of the Chuckles like fandom comes from his later comic stories. So if you are just strictly a fan of the the 80s stuff and just read Marvel and you never read those IDW books, you might like wonder, why is everybody so gaga about this character? So I was the same way. I was like, I could take or leave Chuckles for all those years, and it wasn't until I read those comics that I was like, okay, I really dig this character.
And I did read the comics, but I think just the espionage side of G.I. Joe, it's never appealed to me as much, but it should. And this is something that I really should be exploring more. The espionage side of G.I. Joe has been there since the beginning. It's a corner of the line that I've always neglected. So maybe this is an opportunity for me to take another look at it, to see if that's something that I can jump on board for. So maybe this is an opportunity. Maybe I shouldn't be quite so on the fence. Maybe I should be giving the spy espionage undercover aspect of G.I. Joe a better look. So maybe I should look at it that way.
Well, and Chuckles does fit in perfectly with the theme of Cobra Convergence 7. So
there you go. Which is spies, infiltrators, and double agents, which he is all of those. So yes, I absolutely, in fact, I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to say Hasbro planned this.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Cobra Convergence, which means they're spying on us.
Oh,
we know
it all ties together.
We know Emily and Lenny are all about the storytelling. They're all about the synergy. They saw this coming and they thought, well, I guess we'll just push this Chuckles that we had planned for 2025. We need to go ahead and push this thing up and get it done so we can coincide with Cobra Convergence 7.
Like, I don't want to take credit for it,
but you should.
But I will.
Yes. Yes. It's all you. Okay, so Ritz Murphy, I like this. He says, looks like the Crimson Three are trapped in the pip. It feels like a Superman movie throwback. They do. They look like they're in the Phantom Zone. And then Rachel Salinas, even back in the day, I found Chuckles underwhelming, but he's an integral part of the team, therefore a must-have. And see, that's how I feel about stuff that even if it's somebody I'm not as like attached to. Like, I'll be honest, Scrap Iron, like, I dug that figure, but he wasn't one of my guys. But I'm gonna get him, and then I reviewed him earlier today, and he's incredible. He's one of the best classified figures that's come out. So you gotta try them all.
Yeah.
And for me, Chuckles, when I was a kid, I loved the Chuckles figure almost entirely because of his shoulder holster. And the classified figure has the shoulder holster, so it's a win for me. Okay, we already checked in on the Dragonfly and mentioned that tomorrow night we will be live streaming the final hour of the Dragonfly campaign, 11 p.m. EST, right here on the Needless Things YouTube channel. We mentioned that Emily name dropped Doc in a like comment at the end of her thread on Instagram. So we now know that Doc, Hawk, and Airborne are all going to be mainline classified releases. Pretty awesome. Okay, now I can do the screen share because I do have these pictures, and I think we got a lot to talk about here, and I'm pretty excited about it. So let's share the old screen. Noel, why don't you tell us about Shooter?
Well, so Shooter has kind of a very long bit of lore in the world of G.I. Joe, because if you've ever read Marvel Comics issue #1, there's a panel where they're showing all these G.I. Joe characters on the team. And, you see all the ones that we know of. You've got your Clutch, you've got your Breaker, you've got your Short Fuse, you've got your Stealer. And then down there in the corner, there's something blocking. Speaking of blocking, we have evil Cobra cats in the way here. Right down at the bottom, there's a name, and there's, of course, the face is covered up, but it just says Shooter. And it's kind of one of those little Easter eggs in there. It was obviously a nod to Editor-in-Chief Jim Shooter. But over the years, Shooter
obviously, but I didn't realize that until I was in His Tank the other day and somebody pointed it out.
Really?
And it's fantastic because I'm a huge fan of Jim Shooter. So that was a nice little bit of trivia that I never put together before.
Huh. Well, later on, the character of Shooter was actually introduced, and she was an African-American woman, and she was a sniper, and they have brought her finally into the classified line, and I think this figure is fantastic.
It's so this to me, I was very, very excited way back when they introduced Agent Helix into the line.
Mm-hmm.
I loved the design. It felt very G.I. Joe, but also very current G.I. Joe, updated G.I. Joe. And this to me carries that same level of excitement. This design, there's so much personality here. The portrait looks amazing. I can't wait to see it in person. I love her footwear. Like what they've done, it's got this like clasp across the top, but it's like this sneaker look that seems very functional, but also very casual tactical. Is that a thing? Just everything here. Yeah, a little cash tack. A little cash tack. And the sniper rifle is phenomenal. That thing. So does anybody here in our group or in the chat, does anybody know, is this based off of any kind of actual, I mean, it looks a little futuristic to me, but it looks really cool. I don't know if this is real hardware or not.
I don't know.
It almost looks a little bit like the big rifles from RoboCop that they get at the end of the movie.
It looks like it could be easily, possibly duplicated by painting a Nerf gun with a couple of accessories added onto it.
Well, if that were the case, people would have been infuriated, and I haven't seen any of that kind of talk yet. Actually, really looking at this, well, also I love that we've got the 3 different headpieces to put on. The gas mask, which, to go back to the storytelling that the Hasbro team loves to do, the fact that all these Night Force figures are coming with gas masks and they're making a thing of this dark energon, like this story is so fascinating to me. So we've got a couple of different hair pieces. We've got the gas mask. I would like to have seen a little bit of paint on those weapons, or just make them black. I feel like when they mold them in a color that is not black, a lack of paint stands out a little bit more than it otherwise would.
Yeah.
But just everything else just looks great. Kristian, Brian, what about you guys? Looking at her, like where is she on your list of, ooh, I've got to have this?
Of the Walmart exclusives that they've announced, this is the one that I'm most interested in. This is the one that has that link to the history that you just described. I think it looks like a really good figure. So Shooter was a character that supposedly was around in 82. That's, like you said, that's where the name first came up in the first issue of G.I. Joe. This is where I believe Hasbro should never follow my advice and not do what I would want, because for me, that character would be a throwback to those 82 uniforms with the green and the, it's a little bit plain but it functional, just but obviously this is much better than that. So don't follow my advice, Hasbro. Don't follow my preferences. I think it looks great. Yeah, I'm definitely the most enthusiastic about this one.
Well, there were a couple that deviated back then too, because you had Snake Eyes who looked different. You had Scarlet who had a little different look. So this could fit in. I mean, a more simplified version, I think, of this look could have fit in with the 82 figures.
And keep in mind, though, this is the Night Force version of Shooter that is a Walmart exclusive. So a mainline version that maybe looks a little more in line could be down the road a ways.
True, because if you look at her neck, like the collar of her shirt
very
does
82.
Look like, yeah.
So now I'm amending that. Hasbro, definitely follow my advice. Give me all of my preferences, please.
Let's see. Oh, look at this. Can you fly, Bobby? RoboCop, one of the most it's on my list of perfect movies. One of my top 5 favorite movies ever made. If somebody would please just do great figures of Clarence Boddicker and everybody else, I need a melting. I need everybody. I need them all. All right, we got to keep going. So that shooter looks great. Packaging very cool, and you can see in the background there that dark energon that they've worked into the art for all of these so far. Very excited about this one. And these 3 figures that we're talking about now go up for pre-order at noon Eastern time on July 18th at Walmart. And I don't think there's any need to panic, because if you look back at the last few here's what the panic comes in with. Walmart may not ever send them to you.
Right.
But as far as getting your pre-orders in, the last couple of things that have been Walmart exclusive that have been plentiful as far as being able to order. Now, whether they ever get fulfilled, who knows?
I'm still, even though it became very easy to find them later, I'm still angry about that Ostriker incident from 2020 when I walked into a store and I saw it and I was like, oh, that's cool. Well, mine should be shipping here any day now. And then like that afternoon, I got the email saying, we're not going to be able to fulfill your order. So
that's a whole other conversation. This conversation is about the Crimson Alley Viper. Brian, what were your feelings on this guy?
Well, first of all, I know a lot of people are going to be really happy about this. This is a redeco of the Alley Viper, and I have my feelings about the Alley Viper. The first one was pretty wild and crazy, and I know this looks more, I don't know, realistic, more
subdued.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. On the other hand, I see like that color, crimson, as representing that elite unit within Cobra, and you would only be able to wear that color as the primary part of your uniform if you're connected to it. Now, I know that there are exceptions to that, like all through. Okay, so this is entirely just my headcanon, but I don't feel like you'd just put red on an Alley Viper or a Bat or whatever. I just don't see. I don't think that's the way the elite Crimson Guard unit would work. But
fortunately, there is an explanation. I can't pull it up right now, but if you go to the Crimson Alley Viper listing on Walmart, they have in the bio, it says that, and this is another part of like, oh, we're creating something really cool here. It mentions that the Crimson Triumvirate, or whatever they're calling Baroness, Zaymot, and Tomax, have been selecting the very best of each rank of Cobra and putting them in this elite Crimson unit to deal with whatever this Dark Energon thing is. So they are the elite, and they're being put on this special project.
That's what I was thinking. Like, when you look at the deco with this whole Dark Energon story that they're building, you need frontline, you need casualties. You need the people
You need bullet
that
stoppers.
are, yeah, like these, you know, as we'll see with the next figure, you need the people that are going to have to take one for the team, so your elite of the elite can kill what they need to kill.
You know what I've just noticed looking at this picture is this Alley Viper has the same turned in foot shin guard as the regular one. That drives me insane. Ugh. So my initial response to this one is I was not a huge fan of the Crimson onesie. But having let it sink in a little bit more, looking at the deco, looking at these the white diagonal hazard stripes that are on the shield and on the gear, it's a really cool look. I dig it. I feel like there's some changes I would make, but this color scheme is really cool. And I was looking back there a minute ago because I've got it wasn't designed exactly like this, but they did do a red and black Alley Viper in the modern line. He's back there somewhere, but I couldn't spot him, and I'm not getting up right now. But it looks cool. I'll get at least one because you know how I am. Noel, where did this one land for you?
I'm happy for all the people that will be really excited about this figure. I mean, it looks fine, but again, I have kind of established somewhat wavering rules at times on what goes into my collection.
Right.
But I mean,
right.
this is the figure that I see, and I'm like, hey, that's cool. I can skip it.
And you know, those are important too, because there are things, and that was, like I said, that was my first thought with it. But I know I'm going to pre-order it. I know how I am. Packaging wise, once again, we've got the Dark Energon in the background. I like the sort of biohazard looking thing on the front, the little scanner piece on the visor there. Just an interesting, different touch. What I really would have loved is the actual black and red camo deco on this, but I realize we're not going to get that from this line because deco is that's just not going to happen here. And then we've got what I thought was going to be an extremely divisive and controversial figure, but it seems to have been received a little better than I expected. I love it. I'm a huge horror fan. I love the zombie vipers. This is right up my new character for G.I. Joe alley. I'm noticing right now that it's got the bazooka style abdominal joint rather than the ab crunch, which is great because if you see the gear that's around the abdomen there, the ab crunch would be useless underneath that. So I think this is a great design. It has been pointed out that the Dark Energon crystals that are growing out of its head have a wash of glow-in-the-dark paint on them, which is why in some of the images they're green rather than purple. So there is a glow-in-the-dark element to this guy. But I love the fact that it comes with the alternate head with the gas mask, so it can be just a regular trooper and not necessarily a zombie thing. And again, that encourages troop building, which we know Hasbro has discovered is important. Brian, how about this guy?
I am extremely happy for you, and I'm so glad that they've given you something that you love this much. Look, Hasbro is doing exactly what I hoped they would do, and what we had talked about them doing for such a long time. We've got new characters. They're trying to build this into an integrated storyline. That's the thing that I think had been missing from classified up till now. I mean, they tried to do it in a couple different ways that didn't really quite take off, but they're committing to this, and they're doing exactly what they should do. But they're doing it in exactly the way that I wouldn't prefer them to do. I'm not like a huge fan of the GI Joe Transformers crossovers. It doesn't fit with me. But if this is what they're committing to, then I want it to be successful. And I'm gonna more than give it a chance. They could completely change my mind. I mean, my mind was changed about the entire classified series. I didn't think that I would be interested in 6-inch scale figures from the get-go, but having given them a try, I found out that I liked them a lot more than I thought that I would. It may be the case in this, and good solid storytelling makes up for a lot. You can with good solid storytelling, you can take a premise that seems like it might not be that great and turn it into something really special. So I have to give them the chance to do that. So I don't know if I'll get this specific figure, but I'll follow along. I'll see where this goes. But yeah, this is not quite in my wheelhouse. But again, I'm thrilled that you're very happy with it.
Well, and you bring up a good point with the storytelling, because essentially, isn't storytelling within a toy line just either tell me why I should buy this or give me an excuse to buy this? Because if this had been presented without the Dark Energon thing that they're introducing, I would think it was cool, but I wouldn't be as enthusiastic about it as I am. But now I'm excited about it design-wise, and I'm excited about it because it shows a commitment to the line. It's kind of along the same lines as something we've talked about before, where new toy lines start and the first wave comes out and you're like, okay, cool. That's 6 figures. They look really neat. But then 4 waves in, 5 waves in, you're like, oh, this is a collection. This company is dedicated, and your engagement with it just, of course, grows because you see that the people making it are committed to it, and that lets you be more committed to it. And this storytelling does the same thing for me. It shows me, okay, Hasbro, yes, of course, they want to make money, but Hasbro is putting the thought and the time into developing this whole other aspect of classified that, to be honest, isn't necessary. But they're creating this new, basically, marketing technique, and that's exciting to me because it means they care about the brand enough to put resources like that into it. So that gets me more engaged with classified. Okay, so packaging wise, Kristian, you didn't get to chime in on this fellow.
Yeah, so when we saw the initial photo with the gas mask on, I was impressed. I loved everything about it. Then when they showed the Dark Energon head, I was like,
you had the opposite reaction from me.
I'm not a fan. I think it looks great. Don't get me wrong. But that aspect of the storytelling, when I see that he comes with a gigantic drill, I'm just like, I want that gas mask on him, and this is hostile in the G.I. Joe world.
Or My Bloody Valentine.
Right. He comes with a lot of great accessories, and I feel like looking at the accessories that he comes with and where they're going with the Dark Energon storyline, it makes me think that Airtight is right around the corner.
Oh, I would hope so. I feel like he's got to be, because with what they've established about the Dark Energon, which, by the way, goes far back before classified. This Dark Energon has been established in Transformers for years
Prime.
now.
Yep.
Right.
It turned Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson into a zombie.
That's exactly right. So this is an established element within the Hasbro verse, the Retroverse, for quite some time.
But love the color scheme.
Yes.
Yeah, he's a get.
Yeah, he's one again that I'll skip, but I'm glad that there's something for everybody out there. You know, that's one of the best things about not being a completist is I was like, I don't have to justify having to own this.
Wait a minute. Sorry, ADHD moment.
Yes.
Did you notice? So in this photo, he has like what is a studio light, essentially, right?
Yeah, right.
Like a strobe flash. Go to the packaging. It's a lantern. I want that lantern.
Oh, yeah. Well, and that's what I was just looking at, because I was about to point out, if you look at the other image, aside from the drill, which does have a metallic drill bit, aside from the drill, none of the other accessories have a lick of paint on them, but it's less noticeable than it was with Shooter, to me, because these are all black. But then, yes, Kristian, if you look at the lantern, it's pink. And I wonder
does it have a glow in the dark element?
I will be interested to see.
And his goggles also have.
Yeah, the goggles are also lit up, but we know they've used effects like that on stuff before. So until we get it in hand, we won't know for sure.
Yeah.
All right.
I just thought he was carrying a ghost trap from Ghostbusters there for a second.
Hey, look, we've already talked about how Airtight and Sci-Fi were my Ghostbusters and G.I. Joe when I was a kid. So if they want to bring Ghostbusters into this thing, I am all
This gets us that
for
Statue of Liberty playset. I'm down.
Yeah, I need a motorized walking. Oh my gosh, I need a Super Shogun Warriors Statue of Liberty that shoots the torch out of her arm. Why hasn't that been done? Oh my gosh. Missed opportunity. Super 7, get on that. All right. Speaking of Super 7, what a great segue. Good job, Kristian.
It's why
I see what you were doing there. Mandalorian Jedi, who you going to call? I'm going to call Airtight and Sci-Fi. I don't know about anybody else. Okay, so Super 7 teased us with the first figure from Wave 5 of their Super 7 Ultimates, which is okay, so we talked about this in our chat, and my first thought was, oh, I wonder if they're doing comic stuff, because they did the comic Bat, but all of the rest of the Ultimates are Sunbow inspired, and I wondered, oh, are they doing Professor Apple? But it turns out this is from a scene in Sunbow where Destro orders 3 Crimson Guards to do something, and the scene shoots to them, and they're eating donuts and drinking coffee, and one of them says, "We're Union," which, first of all, timely. So
that raises so many questions about this Union, though.
Well,
is it
right.
just the Crimson Guardsmen that are in this Union, or is this a Cobra Union?
It's just that elite. That's what makes them elite. They're in the Union. Once you're in the Crimson Union, you get the uniform and everything. So, Kristian, I think you speculated, will we get 3 head sculpts? Because those three CGs look very different in the image. But this is exciting to see. I'm curious to see what we get out of this. And let's see, since our next topic, well, okay. Let me awkwardly maneuver between applications. Brian, you know what? I don't think this has come up in the time, because you have got to be getting sick of me at this point, because we've been on a lot of shows together lately.
Not at all. Not at all. I made fun of you on Ken's show. I feel bad about that.
No, not at all. I deserve it. So what are your, we haven't really talked about the Super 7 products with you. Where are you with the reaction and the Ultimates? Like, what do those do for you? Are you mad that there's not enough articulation, or is it cool that they're representing the old stuff?
I think it's fine that they're representing the old stuff. I'm not actively collecting it, just because I have to limit what like modern stuff that I get. I'm still focused on collecting vintage G.I. Joe. So while Classified is in the scope, and like the HasLab Sky Striker is in the scope, I have not folded Super 7 into that. I know that the Sunbow cartoon is very nostalgic for a lot of people, and it makes a lot of sense to focus on that, to really target that nostalgia. And that, I mean, that's what this does. I think it's genius. It's one of those things where I really should give it a chance, but it's just outside of the scope of what I collect. I have picked up a couple reaction figures here and there. I don't really mind the 5 points of articulation, because honestly, most of my figures are just standing anyway. So
Right.
you know, that doesn't hurt me too badly. I maybe have a little less nostalgia for the Sunbow cartoon than a lot of other fans do. So it's not as urgent for me, but I'm happy that they exist, and I'm happy that they are targeting the fans who are really nostalgic about Sunbow. And I think the style of them kind of being more smoothed out, kind of like a plastic cartoon character. I think that it really is focused on exactly what it needs to be. So I think that's kind of where I am on all of the Super 7 stuff. And maybe at some point I'll give it a shot. It's just not super high on my priority list.
Well, you literally cannot collect everything. You just can't. You got to make choices. And the Super 7, I like it. As you pointed out, the smoothed out look, it really does. They look like little cartoons standing in the packaging. I mean, I love them. So speaking of Super 7, we have got a few things to take a look at here, because they announced all of their San Diego Comic-Con exclusives. We're not going to spend a ton of time on this because we want to get to the Cobra Convergence material, obviously, but they announced a G.I. Joe MP, which is cool, seen in the cartoon quite a bit, kind of one of those necessary side characters. The Super Cyborg Snake armor, which I'll be honest, I find a little confusing, because that Cobra Trooper is not going to be scaled unless the snake armor is significantly smaller than the other Super Cyborgs they've put out. That Cobra Trooper is gigantic.
Yeah,
So
I was curious about this one because it doesn't really have the aesthetics of the Super Cyborg figures either. It doesn't have that, like, the same type of lines. So I was like, did they just scale down a snake to make it fit in with like the Ultimates figures?
Well, and if that's what they did, great, and I want one. But
yeah, if it's like that, it would probably be on my short list.
But until we get dimensions on this, which I haven't seen yet, I imagine once it goes up for sale on the website, we'll know. But until I know a little bit more about exactly what it is, I can't make a judgment call. But it looks awesome. Look at the detail of the sculpt and the paint on the inside of the snake, and the little joysticks he's using to control it. Like, this is the look inside I've always wanted to see. And I think it's very clever that they did put the Cobra Trooper in there. But it's even more clever if it's scaled. Although, if you look, his from his waist down makes no sense whatsoever.
No. Cobra is not ableist.
Oh,
do not discriminate, and they believe everyone is handy capable.
There is no waist down.
To rule the world.
That's it. That's it exactly. So good job, Super 7. We applaud you for your inclusion. Fantastic job. So yeah, I can't wait to see all of the details about this, because I would love to want to own it. The Rich Murphy says the Cobra Trooper is scaled bigger than the Ultimates, and see, that's the feeling that I've got about it. I don't know. We'll see. If that's the case, then this will be a pass for me, as much as I hate to say that. We have Red Knock. Who wants to explain Red Knock to me? Because I don't know.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say that's a portmanteau of the words red and dreadnought, so I hope that helps.
Thank you for that thorough and illuminating explanation.
So when I think
welcome.
of dreadnoughts, I think of the Baroness.
So it's a fun school variation.
So there is actually a fun
there
school
is,
called
yes,
Redknock.
Yes. Is her name Redknock? That I can't remember. I have only ever seen her once on eBay, and the one on eBay was very, very well loved and had a mangled face. So yeah, along the same lines of Glinda, you know, this is a foreign variant of
yes,
the
India.
Baroness.
Yeah, that was her name, Redknock. In
Okay.
India.
Well, there you go. I think she looks great. There she is.
Yeah.
It's a different enough version of a Crimson Baroness that we've seen before that I think it's pretty cool. I love the red rifle. I think
It's the accessory pack rifle.
I like this coloration for her more than the cartoon blue of her first release.
Yeah, I would agree. This looks cooler. The cartoon blue has more significance to me, but this looks cooler. And then to accompany her, somebody tell me about Red Jackal, which is, look at the little skull and crossbones on his chest that I only just now noticed.
That's a Red Shadows figure from Action Force.
Okay.
Yeah.
Literally just a repaint of Destro.
Just repainted Destro, different character, but yeah.
Oh, and his belt buckle as well has a different little sculpt on there. The red pistol, he's got a backpack on, I'm noticing, and I don't know what backpack that is, but that's interesting and different. Looks cool. I don't know that I'm going to pay $55 for either of these, but they're cool. I think they're exactly the kind of thing I like to see as convention exclusives because, oh, look, that's neat, but I don't need it.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a great selection of shirts. The Firefly bomber jacket, the incredibly expensive Firefly bomber jacket is back, which is weird.
It's probably just stock left over from last year.
It may well be, although they ran out of a number of sizes.
Expensive.
Yeah. Red Jackal is a Palatoy original character from Rachel. Yes. Rachel, you know your stuff. Literally every time we're on, you have like all of the answers, and I appreciate that about you. Mandalorian Jedi, all of these are great toys I won't buy. And you know what? That's a great way to look at it. Just because you don't want it doesn't mean it's terrible. It just means like, I don't need it. Kind of like me with all these shirts, although I do really want that Trouble Bubble shirt. I like that one a lot. Kristian, have you got a favorite out of these? Like if you were going to buy one.
If I was going to buy one, it would be either the Trouble Bubble or the Snake Armor.
Yeah, the Snake Armor. I like the cutaway. That's pretty cool as well.
I like the Cobra core design, but in Florida, you cannot wear a sweatshirt like 2 weeks out of the year.
I don't want to wear anything in heather gray ever, just because I just don't like the way it looks, and it just shows every drop of sweat.
Well,
on your body.
I look,
even if it's a t-shirt, I don't want that.
Matter of fact, I'm looking at this right now, and it's getting sweat stains under the arms. It's just a computer image. Noel, what about you? Have you got a favorite out of these?
Probably the Trouble. I do like that flight, friendship, freedom design. It's just kind of something cool, but yeah, if I was going to get one of these, it'd be the Trouble Bubble shirt. I like things that are a little bit more like subtle and, just have like a
yes,
basic,
because there's
design.
nothing as subtle as a Trouble Bubble.
Right.
Brian, what about you?
Well, I believe that Fight, Friendship, Freedom shirt is a Takara logo. I do. They did the Takara G.I. Joe logo on a T-shirt. I don't know what 2-3 years ago.
Yes,
which I have, and it's really cool. I also like that it's telling you to fight against. I assume fight against freedom, friendship. And freedom. You don't see that angle taken very often.
It's a unique, yeah.
But yeah, if you feel like fighting friendship and freedom, then I think that's the go-to. It's a cool design. I probably would go with that one. I just like that. It looks like looks like something you might have as a tattoo, or it looks like something you might have like as a patch on a jacket or something. It's a cool design. The others are all fine, and I do like the Cobra Core logo that they've got there.
I hope they put that on other types of shirts.
Yeah,
like
I have
that
the
on
same
black
problem.
or blue.
I could not wear that for very many months of the year here. So yeah, I think I'll go with that. I'll fight freedom. I'll fight friendship and freedom. That's what I'm going with.
Well, you know what I'm noticing now is that shirt and the Python Patrol shirt, that is the back of those shirts. So chances are the front has something on the chest, like just a small on the right of the chest. But I will say, as somebody who owns a couple of Super 7 shirts, they are very, very high quality, very comfortable, well fitted shirts. They are not the bizarre, like 2-inch super tight sleeves. Like, they're not like that. They're very high quality shirts. The hats, however, as an owner of a Super 7 hat, I cannot say they're quite as high a quality. But I do like this Python Patrol hat. Looks pretty cool. And we will move on to the matching Python Patrol socks, possibly the ugliest socks you will ever see on a live broadcast in your life. Of
all the stuff that's exclusive, this is the one thing that I will most likely buy.
I'm definitely getting a pair of these. They're hideous.
I love wacky socks.
They're an ungodly nightmare of clashing colors, and I must have them.
Yeah, that's going to be somebody's Christmas gift. I've already got that planned out. That's perfect.
So this is actually the item I'm most excited for. I do not know what the price is going to be, and I dread seeing it, but I will buy a box of these trading cards. This is wonderful. This is exactly the kind of stuff I love. The like side items, the other, like the licensed stuff that's not toys. I'm very excited to see these. I love that Duke art is so very 80s, but I believe it is new art.
Looks like it.
And then the card art, it looks like it's the stuff that we've seen on the reaction figures. I'm very excited about these and to see what's in those cards, or what's in those packs. And then we've got our reaction release for the year that I love that they're doing it, but it's a tough sell for me.
Yeah.
Not even and look, this is very Super 7. We don't need any primary characters in this set. We're just doing 2 different styles of terracotta warriors, 2 identical skeleton dudes, and there you go.
Yeah.
Buy it if you want it. Don't if you don't. I love it's from hang on.
Pyramid
of Darkness Part 3, the City of the Dead. These are the ancient clay guardians and the skeleton soldiers. I think they're going to have a tough time getting $120 for this, if that's what they're expecting.
Well, didn't they say these are scaled to the reaction line? So they are bigger.
Or are they large?
They're larger than a standard reaction, because they wanted it's not quite the same scale as what they were in the cartoon compared to the humans or the Joes, but they are a larger size.
So they're going to be even more than 120? Is that the question?
Surely not.
Then again, I think that even the larger scale reaction figures, I think they still retail for the same price, because I'm pretty sure my Unicron was the same price as the other Transformers ones.
I think they usually build that into the wave cost.
Yeah.
All right. And I think, we got a couple more. The Cobra Commander puzzle, which I wish was just a poster, because I loathe puzzles.
I love puzzles, so this might be.
That sounds right to me. But this art is fantastic. If you look, you've got the Serpentor dartboard, or the dartboard with the picture of Serpentor in the background. You've got the crate of formal capes back there. And then the battle armor helmet sitting on the pillow in the back. Like the art is phenomenal. I just don't want it as a puzzle at all.
That's another Christmas gift. I know who
Yes.
that's going to.
And then finally, we already knew it was coming. We just didn't know where or when. The Python Trooper that is part of the current Tiger Force Python Patrol wave of reaction figures. That looks cool. I like it. Now, I've got a question, though, for you guys. In my head, the original Python Trooper had that camo all over. Am I wrong?
And I just looked at it. You would have asked me. I've just looked at it, and it's slipping my mind.
Yeah, I don't think it actually does now that I think about it.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's always confusing because they have the Python Trooper and the Python Officer, and they were reversed,
right,
in the original line, and they fixed that with the classified, except they haven't done the Officer, which is actually going to be the Trooper this time around, which is the one that so let me see.
Noel, we have a question from the chat really quick. Ashley Wilbanks, but do you frame after completion or bust it up and put it back in the box?
Put it back in there and do it again later on.
Gosh. Yeah.
Whoa. You go
Firefly,
back, you go back
I
to
don't
the
want a puzzle
later.
ever. You and me both, Firefly.
Puzzles. The Trooper did not have that pattern all over. He had
but it was green. Yeah, well, and he was green.
Yeah.
So he was green with yellow hashes, and his web gear was gray, and his pants were black.
Interesting. Okay. Okay, so that covers the news for this episode. So you guys, it is time now to move on to some Cobra Convergence content. Yes. Are we all ready? So if you follow Audible Interlude podcast on Instagram, which you should, you might have seen a trailer for Cobra Invasion, and that is the segment we are headed into now. We have a number of selections, and we may not get through all of them, looking at the time we're at right now, because we've got another segment after this one, as well as Sound Off. So we may just get down to 2 apiece. So you guys lead off with your best or favorite 2. But what we have is we have each chosen some Cobra toys that could be in disguise and invade other toy lines. So we want you in the chat to participate in this as well. Think about, and this is any Cobra from any version of G.I. Joe, but any Cobras, whether it's a figure or vehicle or a figure vehicle combination, if it's the vehicle and the pilot, that would be able to infiltrate another toy line unnoticed. And you're going to get an idea of what we're doing right now, because Kristian is going to kick us off with his first pick. Now, what we're going to do, Kristian is going to announce his pick, and then Noel and Brian and I are going to try to guess which toy line he is inserting this into, and then Kristian will reveal the actual toy line. So we're playing a little bit of a game here, because as you all know, I have to turn everything into a game show. So contestant number 1.
All right, my first pick, and the easiest one for me to figure out who what they are invading, is the Baroness.
So when I saw this, and I feel so basic saying this, but my brain just didn't go any further than this. My guess was Gem and the Holograms.
That's what I thought too.
Okay, Brian, do you have any guesses?
Sectars.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to think outside the box.
Yeah, well, it may work out for you, because
that's usually a good idea.
Yes. All right, Kristian.
However, I am a basic bitch. And yes, Jim had the Countess, so the Misfits need a Baroness.
Oh, yes,
Very
that's
nice.
perfect. I didn't go that deep with it, but yes, absolutely. All right, well done. And of course, when we say this, in some instances, the toy may fit perfectly as is. In other instances, it may be the design of the toy, but altered to fit into the other toy line. So this would be a full-size Baroness with the rooted hair and
Yeah.
glasses and everything else. And so, you know, as the listeners or in the chat or whatever, you can kind of take these things as you wish. I am up next, and my first choice. Ooh, gosh. Okay, my first choice is Thrasher and the Thunder Machine.
I have to recuse myself from this.
Oh, right. I gave it away to you. That's right. Okay.
Me first.
Go ahead.
Is it Sectar? I'm not good at this. I'm not good at games.
Kristian, do you have any guesses?
Well, this one threw me for a loop when you sent it.
Oh,
because
okay.
the Thunder Machine, I could think of a lot, but I'm like, ooh, when you put Thrasher with it,
Yes.
man, what does that do? So I'm gonna still go with if it was just the Thunder Machine, because I couldn't think of Thrasher, and say Willed Warriors.
Oh, that is an excellent guess. I'm going to run to the chat real quick because we've got some good stuff here. Ashley Wilbanks, Cobra Commander in battle suit, invading Stark Industries during the Armor Wars time frame. That is awesome.
Yes.
Firefly could infiltrate Fortnite. Oh, wait. Okay, so I see Thrasher and the Thunder Machine, and get your Googles ready because not everybody may know this. I'm not trying to sound all cool here. I literally just sit on toy websites all day. Tonka had a toy line called Steel Monsters that is one of the coolest, most below the radar toy lines ever. I didn't even remember it until like a few years ago. Figurerealm.com is a fantastic toy website. And I was literally just going through the letters at Figure Realm, and I came across Tonka's Steel Monsters, and it's basically a Mad Max Road Warrior toy line.
Man, because that was my not Steel Monsters. Because I mean, I know it, but I had forgotten it until you said it. But I was thinking, when you added Thrasher, I was like Mad Max, but there hasn't really been a Mad Max toy line.
But there has. It just wasn't called Mad Max.
Yes.
Impressive. All right, Noel, you are up next.
All right. My first pick is Cesspool, and you could possibly even throw in the septic tank too, along with Cesspool. But Cesspool specifically was what I outlined.
So this one threw me for a loop a little bit because my answer is very, very obvious, but I don't think it's right. I don't think there's any way this is what you chose, but my guess was Toxic Crusaders. Again, just far too obvious.
Well, sometimes you got to go with the obvious. Oh, sorry. Everybody else was going to guess too.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, we know Brian was going to guess Sectars, so that's fine.
I was not. I was going to say G.I. Joe.
Well, he only barely fits into that.
Crawlers.
I'm kidding. Eco Warriors are awesome. Okay.
First of all, they were both from 1991, so that ties them together pretty well.
Right.
So I'm just like, Cesspool hired by Dr. Killamoff to use Cobra technology to poison the planet. So I'm just imagining like Coxie and Nozone and Major Disaster Junkyard defending Tromaville from this nefarious polluter.
Yes, 100%. Absolutely. Firefly, Snake Eyes could invade the unreleased O-Ring Breakdancers line, which I believe was something Galoob canceled. Okay, first of all, I don't know anything about this Breakdancers line, but I am in. Now, granted, Super 7 is releasing break-in figures, and that's pretty incredible in and of itself, but I need some O-Ring Breakdancers. Somebody get that Kickstarter going now. And yes, Snake Eyes would absolutely infiltrate it. Okay. Brian, what is your first pick?
My first is Crystal Ball. Crystal Ball.
Okay, so my guess on this one was Visionaries. It doesn't quite fit but we'll see.
And I was along with you hologram wise, but I went with supernaturals.
And I'm mad at myself right now because I know what I should have guessed, but I already put my guess out there, so we have to keep moving. Noel?
I was thinking something along the lines of Indiana Jones, maybe even like, Temple of Doom
really
area.
Good answers, but I was actually thinking of Scooby-Doo. In the earlier days, though, I mean, they didn't do like an entire Scooby-Doo line until much later. There were just, occasional toys, based on them. But I think that actually kind of fits too. Having an action figure that doesn't fit with anything else that they're releasing would kind of fit. But that Vincent Price head, I can't look at it and not think of Scooby-Doo.
100%. And the one that occurred to me after we had all talked was Secret Wars. Because of the lenticular shield.
That would have been great. Tell you what, I'm going to hypnotize all of you to forget all of your answers, and I'll come up with a better one.
What were we doing?
Yeah.
Where are we?
That totally worked.
Barking Fridge says Barricade and Captain Power. Absolutely.
Yes. That's why none of us picked him.
Yeah.
Drawswalker 9, Vincent Price could double his crystal ball 100%. Matter of fact, that's his voice in my head. Vincent Price actually voices an alarming number of characters in my head. Okay. Back around to Kristian. What is your number 2 selection?
Okay. My number 2 is Headman.
Okay. So my predictable basic answer was Cops and Crooks, but at the last minute I changed it to Dick Tracy.
Okay.
Yeah, Cops and Crooks was what I figured.
Yeah, that was my guess.
Okay. Unfortunately, you are all wrong.
Ooh.
This is where I deep dive, because when I think of Headman, believe it or not, Fisher Price Little People Sesame Street playset.
Duh.
It's inner city, and they need their drugs.
For a second, I was thinking maybe I should have been like McDonald's Happy Meal toys because he could hang out with the Hamburglar.
But like, I totally see like the old school Little People, right? The peg body with the stripes and the mask painted on his head.
What is wrong with you? Wow, that's fantastic. Okay. Oh gosh, which one am I going with? Okay. I am going with Raptor. Any guesses?
Condor Man did not have toys.
So but I wish it had.
And it doesn't quite fit in with Silverhawks.
Nude Silverhawks.
Uh-oh.
Kristian, any thoughts?
So my mind keeps going, and I know this is not it. I keep thinking of the French Battle of the Planets figures that were released in the 80s, but I'm like, Dave probably doesn't know that these exist.
That is not
I know.
At all.
I know, but I couldn't get my brain to stop thinking that. So
So
it was that or Silverhawk.
Noel is the winner because my concept of Raptor in Silverhawks is that he's this criminal who idolizes the Silverhawks and makes his own janky Silverhawks costume in an attempt to emulate these guardians of the universe. So he's this like psychopath who just cobbles together his own crummy Silverhawks outfit. All right, Noel.
For my second one, I'm going to go with a Power Fighter from 1994. You may have to Google that one.
Yeah, I didn't. Now, I've got the modern era mechs that they made, but I didn't know at the end of the line they had done mech suits like this. And I mean, for me, there was only one guess, and that was Exo Squad.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I went with Stariors.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
I was thinking Alien. Or
Okay. Yeah.
Alien.
Okay.
All those are great.
Yeah.
Honestly, I went with BattleTech, alternately Mech Warrior, also around that same time frame in the early 90s when
Well, and also incorporated into Exo Squad later on.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, that whole there's several properties that kind of got bundled together and all that because it was Japanese properties and then some American storytelling, which happened a lot with anime stuff and other Japanese properties. So yeah, any one of those would have worked, but I was immediately thinking of the BattleTech toys, which is how they labeled that here in the U.S.
Well, and that's the best. That's the best known, I think. All right, Brian, back to you.
All right, my next choice is the Ninja Force Battle Axe. The Ninja Force Battle Axe. This may be too obvious.
Well, we'll see. Okay, so it's already been brought up once, but I'm going to mention it again. My guess was Jason the Wheeled Warriors.
That was my guess, and that's why I changed one of my later choices.
Well, I'm going out on a limb here, and I'm going to say just the yellow Tonka construction vehicles.
Okay.
You're thinking of the earthquake. For the battle axe. I was thinking of Masters of the Universe.
Yeah,
because it has that swing arm, like bash 'em action, and that kind of fits the play pattern of a lot of the Masters of the Universe vehicles, where a lot of them had things that would just like smash the figures. And to me, that is much more of a Masters of the Universe play pattern than what you would have gotten with G.I. Joe earlier on.
That's fantastic. And I cannot believe, considering I've got a massive Masters of the Universe section right behind me here, I cannot believe that didn't occur to me, but you're 100% right. It totally reads as a Masters vehicle, 100%.
Yeah. And I was trying to avoid doing Master stuff because we did our Mattel crossover, and there was a lot of Masters crossover in that episode.
So okay, so let's see, where are we at time wise? Okay, I think well, we can do the last four, and I'll tell you what, we will save our Guess Who for another time, and move on to sound, because we got to get sound off in. So let's do our last four. Kristian.
Okay, so my last one is the Demon. No pilot, just the Demon.
I looked at this, and the first thing that popped into my head was Spiral Zone.
I got to look at it again because I forgot what it looked like.
Man, I'm not really sure.
It's so unique. It's kind of tough to place it as anything else. So that this was the one I was actually most curious about as to what it would end up being.
Yeah, I'm not sure I have.
I thought this was as obvious as the Baroness.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I don't want to say that one. So I'm going to skip what that answer was.
Noel has passed.
This could also, well, I say it could also be a Wheeled Warriors figure, possibly, but
Noel, you should trust your instincts.
Okay.
Oh,
because the Lightning League had the battle base.
Oh,
so the monster minds get the demon.
Okay. All right.
Okay. All right. My final pick is the Secto Viper.
I think I have my.
Noel, do you have a guess?
It's got to be Inhumanoids.
I like that. I like where your head is at.
That's what I went with.
Oh, okay.
I see. Now I'm thinking the Fisher Price Adventure people, because
the
space guy with
Those are both fantastic options. Fantastic options. But what I went with was Extreme Fright Features Ghostbusters, because they had the big bulky hazmat looking suits. So all we need is the Secto Viper to have bug out eyes and like a tongue, and we're good to go. which
All
I mean, I think is something pretty much everybody would agree he needs anyway. I mean, I can't imagine the GI Joe community opposing that in any way. We need to check in with our chat real quick before we wrap this up. We've got oh man, I love this. Okay, Draws Walker 9, what about Mask with Miles Mayhem as a Cobra pilot? Well, we need a Miles Mayhem figure in some form anyway, because we got Matt Tracker. Rachel Raptor, Buck Rogers, I love that. Payne's Toy Samples, Cops and Crooks, Brave Star 2, Raptor could be in Monstars Mob. Yes, 100%. That's where he's going to end up. Let's see. Raptor was totally a Hawk ripoff. I think you might be right, Matthew Comstock. Barking Fridge, Raptor, Masters the Unit. Raptor fits in everywhere. I think really the main takeaway from tonight's episode is Raptor is perfect for everything.
2023 is the year of the Raptor.
I think so, yes. Starcom for Star Brigade from Draws Walker 9. Rachel Salinas, Battle Axe, TMNT, yes. Also, which granted, very, very close to Masters in a lot of ways aesthetically.
That would have been a great alternative, yeah.
Okay, so where were we? Noel,
me.
Final choice.
Final choice is also sticking with Iron Grenadier stuff. Destro's Dominator.
Not a clue. Pass.
All right.
Stargate.
Good.
Oh. Star Wars.
Star Wars. Oh, there's good. This is something we just talked about. And I considered pivoting on this one. Mask, because you basically have a vehicle that turns into another type of vehicle. My initial thought, because I was like, there's got to be a mask one in here somewhere, and I was thinking about the Swamp Fire. But then I was thinking, now I'm down this rabbit hole where the Swamp Fire would be a good crossover for Springer if you're going to do a Transformers G.I. Joe crossover.
Man.
So, but yeah, I mean, the Dominator I think would fit. It could be Miles Mayhem's like alternate vehicle because it's a helicopter / tank /
Springer was one of my choices.
I was thinking the Despoiler, not the Dominator. Yeah. Now it makes sense. Thank you. I get it now.
They're all so confusing to me. All right. Well, that was.
Oh, we have one more.
Wait, no, you're right. We've got to let our guest get the last pick. Brian, wrap this thing up. What you got?
My last one is the Earthquake. The Earthquake.
So for this one, I went back to Tonka's Steel Monsters because I just.
Well, I already used my Tonka construction vehicle for the other one. So for this one, I'm going to say the Hug-a-Bunch.
and the Dark Horse wins. That's
I was going to say he would fit in as a rogue Constructicon from Transformers. So
but for real, the Tonka construction vehicles is exactly what I was thinking of.
Oh, nice.
So and that I was worried that one might be too obvious as well, because they kind of went in that direction. It's like its own genre within GI Joe. It doesn't fit anything else. Like, here's a construction vehicle in the middle of everything. So it seems like they were trying to capture that play pattern. At that time, they seemed to be trying to branch into a number of other play patterns. So I think they were experimenting with that.
It almost felt like sort of the Adventure Team mentality of let's try to have Joe do some other things.
The 90s were a wild time.
Okay, so who wants a bonus pick? I've got one bonus real quick that occurred to me. The G.I. Joe Classified Vincent R. Falcone head could fit in to the Boglins toy line. And that's all the time we've got for Cobra Invasion. It is time now to move on to Sound Off. If you are not following Audible Interlude Podcast on Instagram, please do so. And you too can participate in our Sound Off segment where we take suggestions from Instagram about what to talk about on the show. First up this time around, Wreck Ship 85. Come up with some food puns. Oh, and this is a Cobra-focused Sound Off. Recship85, come up with some food puns for the Cobra mess hall.
Okay. So I have the bow bender chili, the
Oh, good Lord.
Zemater tots,
What?
the scrap pull,
Oh, gosh.
Cobra Commander salmon, and Destro's favorite dessert, the bitter fruits of vengeance.
Okay. Earlier in the episode, I said anybody jumping in the super chat, all of the proceeds that we get from the super chat for the time being are going to go towards a paid StreamYard account. I'm changing that. First, we're going to buy a gong. Wow. And then another one from Recship85. Does Cobra have an official chef?
Yes.
And I think we have an answer for that.
They do, actually. So in the Sunbow episode, Raise the Flag, we learn that there was a Cobra chef, and his name is B.A. Lacar, something like that. It's probably French, but he looks like a wild mountain man, kind of, because he was trapped for a very, very long time and used bat parts to build his little hideaway.
So there you go. Mandalorian Jedi with the longest sound off to date to Cobra Commander from Mars R&D. Thanks to a generous investment from extensive enterprises you were able to arrange, we have been able to fast track the development of the weapon you requested. We have developed a functional weapon system based on the specifications you provided, which can deliver what is commonly called the brown note to a target at range. Internally, we have been designating this system as the Broadcast Intracolorectal Tonnage Evacuator, or BITE, which can be used across a number of platforms to include vehicles-based deployment, as well as a scaled-down infantry-based weapon. As per the usual arrangement, we are now seeking notes from your office on deployment, trooper, and vehicle designations, as well as uniform specifications before field troops are equipped and deployed. Please be advised that due to the limited range of the infantry weapons, we are recommending uniforms be based on the existing Sludge Viper uniforms. I only have one note for this. The rest of it we may follow up in the future, but the storyline in which this all takes place is the Pooh World Order. Thank you very much. Moving on.
Well, wait, no. I have.
Oh my gosh! Do you have?
I have the transport.
I should have
not
known.
Think of the troopers, but the transport is the bowl, the buoyant, oversized weapon lugger.
Yeah, this is when we find out that Skid Mark is a double agent.
Skid Mark is the only answer for the segment that we didn't get to tonight. That's perfect. Okay, silent interlude. I've got one. Who counts as officially Cobra? Are Zartan and the Dreadnoks all Cobra or just affiliated? Destro post 1988, Firefly and Major Blood official or just subcontractors? Firefly has the symbol, but Blood doesn't. So, of course, this is one of those things that just goes into your headcanon, and we have scheduled a full segment for the next episode just to discuss this. So, Brian, if you've got any specific thoughts about this right now, you can throw them out there, but we'll do a full conversation about it in the future.
Yeah, I think the fact that some of the characters have the Cobra emblem and some don't, I think is more just indicative of Hasbro wanting to make sure that they were denoted as a bad guy.
Yeah.
But if you go by the file card, like Firefly ought to be his own agent. Scrap Iron either still works for Destro or formerly worked for Destro. The Dreadnoks seem to be their own thing, but they almost exclusively work with Cobra. So it's like, yeah, they're independent, maybe because they're, they don't want them around. Like you don't really want them on the base any more than they have to be.
Right.
But I mean, they work almost exclusively for Cobra, so the lines are kind of blurred. But I tend to see anything like with the Viper suffix, including the Vipers, the Troopers. They seem to be like the real core of Cobra. I feel like their loyalty would be ideological. They are the brainwashed ones that will follow Cobra Commander because they feel like he is the righteous leader who should rule the world, versus someone like Firefly who gets paid.
Yeah, in general, well, we'll save our conversation for the future, but I think that's an excellent summary. Okay. And that is, Kristian, you were tracking this as well. Does that wrap us up?
Just Joe and Tell.
Okay.
Our Cobra Joe.
So
and
our
Tell.
Cobra themed Joe and Tell. I'm going to kick it off because today I went to, I believe it was called Charles Collectibles Show, which is a new thing in Atlanta. It's taken place on Memorial Drive. And it's a number of vendors. It's almost like a flea market type of thing, except they have gaming, they have card games. It was very interesting. I went there thinking it was going to be, oh, well, this is where all the scalpers gather to sell their overpriced, ill-gotten gains. But it really wasn't. There were some actual people with distributors there. And I picked up that I was actively collecting during this time, but I never bought this guy, because I was so cool back then. I looked at an action figure with a parachute and I said, that's a parachute. That's stupid. What am I, 6? Which was, of course, a ridiculous thing to think. So I bought myself a Cobra Trooper from G.I. Joe Retaliation with a parachute really opens. And I'm going to open it right now. And while our next... Who wants to go next while I'm figuring this thing out? Brian, you want to go ahead? Have you got a Joe and Tell, a Cobra themed Joe and Tell?
I would like to present you with this Baroness that I got at Five Below. It was
Nice.
$5.
Yes.
It has a whole 3 points of articulation. Frankly, $5 is a little steep for it. This is probably like 15 cents worth of plastic. Yes, this is my yes, that's it. There you go.
But as we say, we love that kind of stuff that's like outside of the main like collector toy lines. Like that stuff is fun to see.
You got to hook them when they're
This was
young.
on a shelf for kids to buy, which I think
Yes.
is good. That's
Yes.
good.
Yep.
100%. All right.
No?
As I figure out my hat.
Should I go, or is Dave ready to present?
No,
right.
Go ahead, Noel.
All right. So mine is a piece of artwork that I have had for a few years. Pull it up here. It is called The Commander, as you can see right here. This is an artist by the name of Andrew Heath. You can find his work. It's very like minimalist art stuff. You can find it on Etsy or on andrew-heath.com. I've had this hanging up for quite a while. To me, this looks like if Wes Anderson were interpreting G.I. Joe, it would look something like this.
Yes.
So I just adore this picture. My friend Brad gave this to me for as a gift a few years ago. So yeah, that's what I've been wanting to share for a while.
That's really cool. I like that a lot. Now, how many is there like a wide variety of G.I. Joe characters available from this artist?
Honestly, I think this is the only Joe painting he's done. He
Really?
basically anything pop culture you can think of, he's done something at some point in time. So if you check out his Etsy shop, or I think he's got a complete list of all the stuff that he's ever offered on his website. But I mean, it's everything from like Pokemon to aliens to I was just kind of marveling as I was going through it the other night about all the different stuff he's got on there.
Nice. We always like to see different kinds of art on the show. Kristian.
Oh, right. So I specifically hunted down the greatest Cobra figure of all time, and we will not be accepting questions about this.
I believe you.
So and I know Dave loves him so much.
Oh boy.
The Flak Viper.
Oh jeez.
And he will be LARPing later this weekend.
Oh my gosh. This okay. That timing could not have been any better. So at some point I'm going to end up with a Flak Viper, like for sure. There's no doubt in my mind. All right. Are we ready for a little parachute test here? He's going to get hung up. I've got like 20 starships hanging above my head. He's going to get caught on one of those, but let's give it a try in 3, 2, 1. Not enough room here. I'll do a go to Audible Interlude podcast on Instagram, and I'll throw him down the stairs later on. You guys, we had a fantastic time tonight. I want to thank our special guest, Hooded Cobra Commander 788. Why don't you tell us what else is going on with Cobra Convergence this month?
Yes, and let me thank you guys. You guys are in it again, and I really appreciate it. Thank you for everything that you've done, and it's a privilege for me to be here. I've really enjoyed it. So thank you, first of all. Cobra Convergence, you kind of described it before. It's a fan event. We all come together for the month of July. We all do something related to Cobra. We have a calendar of presenters, and on each day, the presenter or presenters on that day, they'll produce something new, something Cobra related. There's a lot of creative stuff that you guys do, and it's really amazing. I'm really thrilled to be a part of it. So on my website, on hcc788.com, right on the front page, there is a calendar of presenters with links to, wherever they are, their podcast or YouTube channel or whatever they do. So you can follow along and see who's doing Cobra stuff on that day. Also, I will post whatever the latest presenter has done, I'll post that up on the top. So please follow everyone, including Audible Interlude. Make sure you follow everyone. These are all fans. These are all G.I. Joe fans who are putting their time and effort into doing something, creating something special related to G.I. Joe. And that's really what this is about spotlighting all of them. There's also a way, if you would like to join Cobra Convergence and do your own thing, if you have your own idea for some kind of Cobra creation or content, there's also a link on the website that will explain how you can get involved as well. So with that, I'll say thank you guys. This has been really awesome, and I really appreciate your participation.
Well, thank you so much. We're always happy to see you and talk to you, man. We appreciate it. Kristian, where can we find that wonderful toy photography you do so well?
You can find me on Instagram and Flickr.com under Legion Cub.
Our music is by Andy Sanford of electricminnowmusic.com. You can follow us on Instagram at Audible Interlude Podcast, on Twitter at G.I. Joe Audible. Noel, tell us about The Finest.
The Finest, which was formerly known as Cobra's Finest, is an international G.I. Joe costuming club. If you ever thought about dressing up like your favorite Cobra character, or a Joe or somebody else like that too, there's resources on our Facebook page, the Facebook recruiting site, the Finest recruitment site on Facebook. You can also go to thefinestcc.com for more information and help us raise money for a great cause, a charity called Canines for Warriors.
And I just want to let everybody know, as soon as we get StreamYard, we'll have the chat right in front of my face instead of down on the phone here, and we'll be able to interact a little better with you guys. But we've got to get that gong first. Brian, Noel, Kristian, thank you so much for sitting down and talking about something that we adore, G.I. Joe. Until next time, Cobra.
Cobra.
La 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 la.